Hello everyone, and welcome to part 4 of my Python tutorial series. Today, we are going to learn more about while loops, and we are going to be making some fun art using a library called Turtle. Without wasting any more time, let's get started. Alright, now of course the first thing we need to do is make a new file, so let's do that. And I'm going to name this one whileloop.py. Of course you can name it whatever you want. And in this file, we are going to make a new type of while loop. Now before, we've always done while true, and these are super useful because they will run forever. But sometimes you don't want things to run forever. You just want it to run a certain amount of times. So let's try to make that happen. For this one, let's start by making a variable. I'm going to name my variable counter, but you can name yours whatever you want, of course. And I will set my counter to 10. Now I'm going to make a while loop, and I will say while counter and then greater than. That is shift period on your keyboard. While the counter is greater than 0, then it will run some code. So let's print what the counter is at. Now, if I were to run this right now, it would run forever because counter is set to 10, and while counter is greater than 0, which 10 is obviously greater than 0, then it will print. So it will keep on doing this forever and ever. And we see that right here. Look at that. That's a lot of 10s. Okay, so that works. Now let's make it stop. I'm going to go down here and say every time this while loop runs, let's say counter equals counter minus 1. So it will be 10, and then it will be 10 minus 1, which is 9, and then it will be 9 minus 1, which is 8, and keep going down. Now let's watch what happens. Look at that. It printed 10, then 9, then 8, all the way down to 1. And when it goes to 1, it will subtract 1 from 1, which will set it to 0, which means the while loop is not true anymore. So it stops. This is super, super useful code. Hopefully you see how useful this is, and we are going to be using it very soon in our turtle example. Okay, now we know how to make more sophisticated while loops. Now, Python has an integrated library, that meaning we don't need to install it, that is called Turtle. Turtle lets us draw things on the screen in an easy and simple manner. If you've ever done something like Code Combat or Hour of Code, it's going to look very similar, but it's going to be a lot better. So let's take a peek at this. First, I'm going to make a new file. I will name mine turtle test.py, and let's check this out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to import our library first, and that is called Turtle. Now we need to add a screen to draw on, and that is super simple and easy in Turtle. So I'm going to name mine display, you can name it whatever you want, and I will make it equal turtle.S screen with parentheses. Now this should make a screen show up. Watch, when I click F5, look at that, we have a screen right here. And it doesn't really do much right now, but it does exist. The first thing I want to do is change the color of the screen. So for that, I'm going to take our variable called display.bg color, that's background color, and then in parentheses, I'm going to put quotation marks and write a name of a color. So I could do red, I could do blue, I could do pink, I could do light blue, but for now I'm going to put mine to purple. And look at that, we now have a purple screen. Super easy, super useful. Okay, well, we have a screen color now, but that's kind of boring. Can't we, like, draw on it? Well, we can draw on it, and it's very easy, but first we need to set up a turtle, or our pen. In Turtle, the turtle of turtle is the pen. I will show you what I mean. Watch, I'm going to name my turtle first. My turtle's name is going to be Leonardo. You can name yours however you please. Now I'm going to make him a turtle. So Leonardo equals turtle dot capital T turtle. Now when I run the code, watch what happens. I have a pen. I have an arrow. It's not doing anything right now, but it exists. So now we can just modify it and make it do stuff. So for example, let's move Leonardo forward by 100 pixels. That is one of the easiest things you can do on here. You literally type the name of your turtle, so mine is Leonardo, dot forward, and then a number. Now watch. Look at that. He moved 100 pixels forward and left a line where he used to be. So if you're catching on, you can see where this is going to go. We can start drawing with Leonardo really easily. Okay, we know how to draw, but obviously we need to turn if we want to draw anything nice. So I'm going to do Leonardo dot right, and then I'm going to type a number for the angle to rotate. So if you don't know, straight forward is 0, 90 is right, and 180 is upside down. So let's try this. I'm going to move him 90 degrees to the right. Now I run it, and see that he turned, so now I can move him forward again. So I will say Leonardo dot forward 100. And look, he was able to move 100 pixels to the left, just like we told him, and then he turned right 90 degrees, just like we told him, and then he moved down. And we have all of that in our code. Now, as you can tell, we can basically draw any shape we want from this, but let's start with some basics, and then we'll work our way up. So the first thing we should do, which I highly challenge you to do yourself, is to make a square. You already know how to do basically everything. Go ahead and pause the video, make your square, and then come back. After you're done with that, I will show you how I did it. Okay, welcome back. If you were paying attention, this should be pretty easy. All we need to observe is that a square has 4 sides, which means we need to draw 4 lines. First we draw a line forward, then we turn right, then we draw a line down, then we turn right, then we draw another line left, then we turn right, and then we draw a line up. And what that looks like is this. Super simple, super awesome. If you didn't get it, don't worry. Just go ahead and try to make it on your own now that I've shown you. And let's keep going. Okay, so we just made a square, which is pretty easy and pretty fun. But now let's step up a little bit and try a hexagon. However, if we were to do a hexagon, which has more sides than a square, then we just have to keep copying and pasting this until it got huge. And that would be very inefficient. So instead, this is where we're going to use our while loops. So first, let's make a variable. I will name mine counter, and I will set it to 6, because a hexagon has 6 sides. Now let's make our while loop, just like we learned before. I will say while counter is greater than 0, colon, remember the colon. Let's move our turtle forward 100, and then let's rotate it by 60 degrees. 60 degrees is the angle of a corner in a hexagon. Now this will work, but we just needed to stop. So let's decrease our counter down 1 every time this code runs. So I will say counter equals itself minus 1. Now let's see what happens. Look at that, perfect hexagon. Hopefully this made sense to you. Now this should be pretty cool, because now that we know that we can use while loops, we can go with all sorts of crazy shapes. I'm going to give you one more example, then I'm going to challenge you to create your own unique custom shape. But I will show you one first. For this project, let's keep this code, but make it to where every time you draw a line, it gets slightly longer. I will make a new variable. I will call it line length, and I will set it to 50. Let's start at 50. Okay, now that we have our variable, we need to draw with that variable. So let's change the 100 in here to line length. Remember, this is moving the pen 100 pixels to the right. We're going to get rid of this and instead draw our line length, which is currently 50. So we'll draw 50 to the right. Now let's increase line length every time it's run. So for the next line, I'm going to write line length equals itself plus 50. So every time it draws a line, the next line will be 50 bigger. And look at that weird spiral shape. In fact, I like this so much that I'm going to let it keep running. So instead of making the counter 6, I want it to go 10 times. Let's see how crazy that looks. Look at that weird shape. I like that. Now that you know how to draw shapes like this, You can make any shape that you want, and you can even make pictures, but I will show you that next. So, at this point, we've learned how to use while loops, and we've learned how to draw. Now, my challenge to you at this point is for you to go ahead and, on your own, make a weird shape with a while loop. It could be an octagon, it could be a pentagon, it could be a weird spiral thing. Just make whatever you want, and once you make something that we haven't made yet, come back and we'll continue from there.